I wanted to make a couple of announcements this morning, and so is everybody here? Is anybody missing? Rodney's missing. Um, did you go get Floyd Lima? Yeah. I need to see him. Thank you. Okay. All right, a couple things. Anybody have any listings or sales they want to talk about this morning? Did you guys already do that? Sales? Sales? You just had a sale. You just told me.
Yeah.
Okay, we want to tell the rest of the world?
Well, that's nothing to say. I mean, we are there up north, so I saw it.
All right.
All right. That's nothing to say?
Well, it's Wacaville, so.
All right, anyone else have a listing or a sale? Anyone else have a listing or a sale that they want to share?
We just have things that are coming up in the works.
In the works.
Mm-hmm.
How about you? Yeah. All right, so I want to go over a couple things regarding this past week. I want to thank all of you who attended the Daniel Penley event. It was what were your thoughts? You thought it was good? No one else thought it was good? William, are you with us, William?
I thought it was very.
William,
yes,
can you give me about 10 minutes of your time? I promise you I'll let you go back.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I promise you.
You want me to keep still working, so you gotta let me go back. Mr. Penley's seminar was quite fun. The parking was the only issue that was a struggle, but once there, eating leftover muffins and warm coffee, there was a lot of good information there. One of the things that I'll share with you that probably I took away from it, because I always try to take one really good thing, and this has also been in our stuff with Daniel Penley. He used to say, I want to get you the highest price with the fewest problem, highest price,
Shortest amount
of time with the fewest amount of problems. Like Daniel Penley's version of it was the least amount of inconvenience rather than problems. Problems raises this thing, and saying least amount of inconvenience really makes it more manageable for the client that hears it. So it was one really good thing that I can relate to.
Anyone else?
I really liked it. I've been to a lot of different Irish Bologna and Windsor seminars and stuff like that. I got a lot out of it. It was a lot of fun. It was very, very informative. These are all things that we haven't heard before. I mean, there are a lot of things that I've heard before. But one of the things that was really good about his is that the program, I did sign up for his program.
Which one? The master's program?
Master's program. So I got in the master's program and paid the money and going through and following through with all the little projects and things. I like the fact that he is going to have that one-on-one coaching. He's going to be getting involved in the part about getting involved and getting into coaching. Most of that usually costs like thousands of dollars. I know some of the people are paying $1,000 a month just to get personal coaching from my ferry. And other programs that I've known have been $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 to get this personal coaching. His was $800 more or less, and there's going to be a lot of involvement, a lot of coaching, and a lot of culture. So I wanted to send it.
Okay, very good. Anyone else want to share anything? All right, Nairi, you don't want to share anything, or Anna, you said it was good.
Nairi got your gift.
Okay, Nairi got my gift. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Nairi.
Well, you weren't there, so I was next.
You could say something good. You didn't even say that.
I gave it to Rodney, actually.
Oh, okay. I'm glad you got something out of it, Nairi, if it were only a gift. Okay, you can see here that there are a lot of you have been doing your lessons. You look at mine is down here. I've only done 2. But look at these folks up here. Nairi, you're at the top of the class.
I open it every day and I listen to it and I print it out. But I just put zeros there.
Okay. All right, you're not setting appointments yet? How many of you are talking to at least 3 people a day? Remember he said something really basic like just 3 people a day, right? 3 people a day. I want you to just make that an effort to talk to 3 people a day. You see all the people who are actually doing their lessons here, right? Cynthia, you're at the top of the class. How about it? Look at this, Anna, my gosh, Anna and Rodney are up there too. And Tony couldn't be here today. She has childcare for her grandkids who are going to preschool for the first time today. So, and I think, William, where are you at? William has 8. All right, so I want to just take my hat off to all of you guys for sticking to it. I want you to put these things into action because you will certainly make money if you just start doing some of these things. And speaking of making money, I wanted to share with you, we're going to reinstitute something that we haven't done for a while, which is our awards and recognition. We're going to go back to a monthly award and a quarterly recognition as well. All right? So there are some folks that I want to highlight today who've done very, very well over the last month. And we have awards for the top number of transactions, which is the highest number of transactions for the month. We're also going to do the highest number of transactions for the quarter. We're going to do the highest number of sales, right, for the month, and we're going to do that for the quarter. We're also going to do the highest volume of sales and highest volume for listings and highest volume for the highest number of listings. So with that, let me just break this out. And let's see. This is for top listing associate by volume for the month of July 2015, Mr. Floyd Lima. Congratulations, Floyd. All right. And let's see here.
What? Oh, I'm sorry.
We have for the top listings for the month of July for the number of listings was Ivy Lane. I'll share something with you about Ivy. All of Ivy's listings, you won't believe this, were leases. All of her listings were leases. Isn't that amazing? So you guys all know you can make money on leases. And the great thing is that you get paid a lot quicker. You don't have to worry about an appraisal or a lender throwing out your loan. You don't have to worry about escrow amendments. You get paid in probably less than a week when it comes to a listing or a lease, right? So you probably average anywhere from $300 to $1,000 depending upon how large the lease was, right? So any of you can use an extra $300,000 a week? Anybody here know?
Yes, right.
Yeah, an extra $300 and that goes somewhere really good. All right, so I just wanted to encourage you guys, don't be ashamed to list a property that's for lease. Top sales, wow, the number of transactions, top sales, the number of transactions was Ivy Lane. All right, and top sales for volume for the month of July is William Kuzman. You're quite welcome. So William's volume was 1.5 million. 1.5 million for William. 1 month. 1.5 million. How about that, William? It's not bad. Ivy had, as I said, 700 sides, 7 sides, and they were all leases. So I want to give you a quick tip on how you can get leases. Anybody know how to go online to Craigslist? Okay, Westside Rentals, right? You just go to those websites and you contact those owners and you say, hey, you know, if you guys remember the Daniel Penley piece, what was the first thing?
Get in the door.
Get in the door. So you get in the door. You get in the door. No, that's not the first. That's the first is get in the door, right? Welcome. What was the second one?
Emotionally qualified.
So are you guys emotionally qualified? You feel you're qualified to help somebody out?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, what was the third one?
Mm.
Sharper edge. Oh, sharper edge, sharper angle, right? And so that one is, if I could, Mr. and Mrs. Landlord, if I could find you a tenant that could give you what you're looking for on a monthly rent and negotiate the lease and have that money in your pocket in a short period of time, would you consider working with me? That's powerful, isn't it? So you all have Craigslist, right? You all have the ability to go to Westside Rentals, and there are a whole bunch of other rental companies or organizations that promote rentals. And you can get in the doors by calling them on the telephone. And then what's the next step? No, there's the second one.
That's four.
No, that's number 4.
No, what's the second one?
Oh, emotions.
So you gotta get psyched up. You gotta get ready. Don't be afraid that if I call them, they'll hang up on me. Oh, they may not like me. Right? So you get yourself emotionally qualified, and then you say, I understand you're renting your house. If I could get you a tenant to pay you what you're asking for and get the money in your pocket in a very short period of time, could you work with me? Would you cooperate with me? Right? And guess what? You could be like Ivy Lane was this month and have a top number of leases. So I want to just encourage you guys to do that. And finally, can you go back to the page that we have our Facebook posting? And then we're going to go, where's Jerry at?
He's right here.
Okay, tell Jerry come on in. I didn't realize he was still there. Okay. All right, so can you just share with them some of those photos? All right. Jerry, come on over. You sit right there, and you're up next, Jerry. Okay. All right, so here's a Facebook page that we're going to be posting today. Can you kind of scroll through some of the photos for us?
Yeah.
All right. Anybody remember this?
Uh-huh.
Go ahead. Yeah? Look at that. Beautiful people there.
And they're paying attention too.
Uh-huh. Look at Anna's taking notes and William is paying attention.
Oh.
Nairee's awake. Look at that. Wow, look at that. Look at it. We're praising God there, aren't we? So, this has been a transformation for us to get really engaged and involved. And, I don't know if you guys know, anybody start reading this book online? It's a powerful book, isn't it? Yeah, really good stuff, some great stories in there. So that being said, I wanted to now transition to what we're going to be learning today. Let me share with you a little information about Mr. Carlisle, Jerry Carlisle. Jerry and I have known each other probably for 15 years or better, and I worked with him when I was owning Remaxes and here. And I've used Jerry on transactions for properties that I've been acquiring for my investment portfolio. And I've had Jerry most recently did a inspections on the building in San Fernando, the building that my partner and I are buying. So he did the inspection for that too, right? And Jerry has done a lot of inspections for my clients. So I tell you, what I love about Jerry is that he's very thorough. He is very detail oriented and very thorough. And, over the years, Jerry's gotten a little softer. He used to tell the clients, don't bother me until I finish. Now he says, you know what? You can ask questions. You can be here, but I got to do my job. And Jerry is a master when it comes to inspections. I believe he's a member of an organization called CREA, which is a certification organization. He goes and he takes hours of training every year. Unlike us, we go every 4 years and we get our training, right? And we don't have to be awake when we do our training. He has to be awake when he does this training. So he does that, and he does commercial. He does apartment buildings. He also does houses. He does condos. And I've had him help me on the 2 transactions I have right now. And we got good information. We were able to prepare a very nice request for repairs for our clients to go back to the seller. I happen to represent the buyers on those transactions. And what I love about Jerry is that within minutes from the time that he completes his investigative work, he goes back to his truck and he digitally emails you the report, which is really cool. And then he'll send it to the client. His fees are very affordable, and it's one of the ways that I find that we can stay out of trouble when it comes to selling real estate. One of the biggest challenges that people have is not doing their due diligence, not inspecting the property. And some agents, tell the client, just waive it. And that can be one of the biggest nightmares you would ever have, recommending to your client that they waive that physical inspection. Because when they waive that physical inspection and something goes wrong, believe me, there are lots of attorneys out there who are happy to take that case. And so if you want to avoid going to court, anybody ever had to go to court?
Yes.
It is very stressful. It is even if you're in the right, it is very, very stressful. So I wanted you guys to realize that there's a great value in conducting a physical inspection. And many of I think our errors and omissions insurance company we have too, says that if you have a physical inspection, that your deductible will be lower if you ever have a litigation case against you for anything dealing with your transaction. So, Jerry, I don't know if I don't mean to embarrass you or anything like that, but I want to let you take the floor and say whatever you wish to say. How about a hand for Jerry Carlisle?
Yeah, I have known Mel for some time, and actually, we were on the phone yesterday talking about an inspection I did, and I learned something about Mel that I didn't know. I was, in the course of my inspection, there was a leak underneath the sink that Mel was concerned with, and I was trying to explain to him how that occurred, and I used an analogy with a radiator clamp, and Mel immediately said, well, I had a 57, I had a 57 Chevy. Mel, I had a 57 Chevy also. We have something in common that I didn't know about after all these years. So these reports can be very technical. So you should, at least with partially with some of these handouts, be able to understand a little bit better as to what the home inspector is discussing or talking about. You definitely, as Mel has indicated, don't want to waive a home inspection regardless of the condition of the house. Generally, what happens is that the attorneys who take the case, and there's a lot of attorneys that love to take the case because there's always a payout for them, regardless of how substantial or how legitimate the case is. I just finished a case where I was a defendant in a mold case, where it was basically insurance fraud. And a year and a half after I did the inspection, the owner of the property hired someone to mount a bracket for a TV. He hit a water pipe. The pipe didn't burst, it just leaked. 6 months later, there's just a mold bloom all over the house. A year and a half before, when I did the inspection, I generally photograph, I take about 50 to 100 pictures of every property that I inspect. And it's pretty clear that there was no evidence of any kind of water intrusion or mold at that particular point in time. Didn't matter. She got $50,000 out of the insurance carriers, and these insurance carriers, State Farm, and they hired the big guns downtown. And I was pretty confident that they would blow her away. They just folded and wrote her a check. So when the complaint occurs and the attorneys are hired, everything that happened before doesn't matter, because all the truth goes out the window. Everything becomes a big pile of BS. Everybody lies. Everybody knows everybody lies. The judge knows, the attorney knows. Everybody knows that it's a big lie. And so it's just a matter of who the biggest, best liar is. That's the guy that's going to win the case. Anyway, home inspectors in general are very fearful of lawsuits. That's why they may focus excessively on certain elements of the house. The home inspector's recently been sued over a roof or a plumbing condition, and regardless of the condition of those components, he's going to recommend that an expert come in and do a separate inspection, which builds up the cost evaluating the property. Does anybody know why you guys do an agent visual inspection? Why do you do that?
We're required to by law.
How did that occur? How did that occur? What was the source of that requirement?
Probably a lawsuit.
Lawsuit.
That's what I imagine.
1984,
Yeah, it was when I started.
Easton versus Rossburg.
Yeah.
In that case, this lady, this elderly lady purchased the property, and nobody told her that it was sliding downhill. This was in Sacramento. She was an older lady. Her ability to make that observation was restricted because of her age. The agents knew it. Everybody knew it except for the lady purchasing the house. She moves in. The house slips down the hill. It's a loss. She sues. The California court at that time decide that this is nonsense. Agents must, from this point on. The court held that realtors, as licensed professionals, have a duty not only to disclose what they know, but also what they should know. So the idea that you're gonna waltz through the house and not notice stuff is nonsense. You're gonna be held to that standard, what you should know as an agent. And when you get into court, and generally, we just say people don't get sued that much. Home inspectors get sued left and right. I've been to small claims court a dozen times. To predict how you're gonna win in small claims court is an impossibility. Any court is an impossibility. You have this ego that says, I didn't do anything wrong and I was right. And you go up to court and your opponent may be, I went to a small claims hearing once, and my opponent was a CPA that did expert witness testimony for, I don't know what. He was good. He ripped me apart. He was really good. Cost me $1,100. I would have given him the $1,100, except that he didn't want $1,100, he wanted $5,000. The judge refused to give it to him, gave him the $1,100 that he was asking for. He had some warped dampers in the fireplace. Of course, the house is several $1 million. This guy can buy and sell it 50 times. And there was a fire in the hearth at the time, so the idea that I'm going to check the damper is nonsense. From that time on, and I will never forget this case, I take photographs of everything that I think is going to come back to haunt me. And in general, I have photographs and standards that help protect me. But still, you have this expectation from a buyer when you go through a transaction, and you're the professional, you know what you're doing. Something goes wrong, they want someone to step up with a checkbook. For the few $100 I get for a home inspection, I'm not real anxious to step up and write a big check. Anyway, the E&O protection that home inspectors have, you get sued once, you've lost your E&O protection. You lose your E&O protection, now you're exposed if there's a judgment against you in a court to lose everything. You could lose everything. A lot of guys do not have E&O. What you can do is, and you want that E&O from your home inspector, because what that means, it's not that when there's a problem, the E&O carrier is going to send someone out like what happens in a car accident. The agent comes out, looks at your car and says, this is going to cost $2,500. Here's your money, less than deductible, goodbye. E&O covers the attorney fees for the home inspector. That's all. If there's a roof leakage, the E&O carrier does not come out and write a check for the roof. It pays for the legal defense of the home inspector. That's all it does. They will settle if they can. The deductible is $2,500 or $5,000 for a home inspector. Home inspectors in general get sued a lot. Agents almost never get sued. They're pretty much indifferent to lawsuits, is my experience. You do your agent visual. I think what's critical with that process is Not that you identify that there's holes in the wall that are damaged. Merely, what you want to do is to demonstrate that you were in each room of the house. There's a couple ways to do that. Write down the color of the carpet. What'll happen is, in a deposition, if there was a big mold bloom that you didn't see or you were indifferent to, you can prove that you were in that room. You knew the color of the carpet. That's all you have to do. You don't have to write down mold bloom. You know what you're going to do is say that you were in that room. And also, because of the ability of these smartphones and various cameras, you can, at an opportune time, start from outside, walk around the house, take a movie of the whole damn house, walk into the house, start at the left, walk in and out of every room, film every floor, wall, and ceiling surface in the building, and just keep it on your camera. There's sufficient room in your camera so that if you sell 20 or 50 houses a year, you've got 1,000,000 years worth of space on your camera. I would recommend doing that. The standards. The standards have become quite specific. Back in '84, during the Summer Olympics here in Los Angeles, when the home inspection industry was very young, what we would do would be I carried a piece of yellow legal paper, and I would just write, the roof's no good, the plumbing's no good, tear it off, there you are, pay me my money. Today, it's much more sophisticated. There's elaborate software that prepares reports, and my habit, which most guys aren't interested in doing, I don't think my way is really any better than anybody else's way. As long as you obtain a report that documents the problems, you're fine. I have a van converted into an office. I use the computer to prepare the report, download, install photographs, and then create a PDF file that's downloaded to my phone, and I can immediately send out the report as a PDF file with lots of photographs. That's just generally the way I do it. That way, the property is fresher in my memory, and I think I can do a better job that way. It's just the way I do it. In general, I always encourage buyers to, if not follow me around, at least be there so that I can respond to any questions they might have, or explain to them what I've found, because generally the components of a property can be fairly technical, and the ability to explain to someone what you're finding by pointing and grunting is pretty effective. And also, it allows you to create a relationship, a friendship with the buyer of that property. And there's a good reason for that. People who like you tend not to sue. And home inspectors, as I've said, get sued a lot. We get sued a lot. We walk around with the fear of being sued, because to be sued once, your email carrier you're done. He may not rewrite the policy. So there are specifics listed in the standards, and my inspection report basically it includes the standards. So in my report, when it says in the standards what I must inspect, then I offer an explanation for what those components are. If it's a foundation, it's a poured-in-place foundation, it's a raised foundation, it's a slab, and there's a brief description of what that is. I think that it's a huge mistake. There's a lot of inspectors that include a lot of fluff. I know guys that produce 150-page reports in number 10 type. Who reads that? Who reads that? A school teacher or an engineer only. And the school teacher's looking for misspellings, and the engineer's looking for technical stuff he doesn't understand. A report should really be no more than 30 pages, even with photographs. So that's what I try to confine my report to. And with the summary, I use a summary. So the first part of the report, the first 4 or 5 pages. Oh, okay. This is up and so on.
Yeah, you want hers, you can click on the sections on this side that you want. Just use your pointer here.
Yeah.
Right here. And then Jasmine, you could, whichever, just tell her which one you want her
This
to
is high
scroll.
technology
Scroll.
stuff, Joe.
Go.
Is that your office there on the right?
That's my office, yeah.
Oh!
So, can I skip these pages with us?
Yeah, just tell, no, we'll skip for you. Just tell her which page
Yeah,
you
go
want.
ahead, into the summary.
Is that in the first section?
Okay, here's the garbage disposal that we were talking about. The air gap leak, go back one page, to 5.
Just go back from the beginning.
Okay,
Go back from the beginning.
okay, go back to,
One.
Yeah, go there.
okay, it's a beauty shot of the picture. Go to page 2,
Yeah, it's the number.
3. This is the summary, scroll down a little bit. This is the rear of the house, go to 4, the next page.
Can you turn that light on, please?
So here we have some damage to the fences. This is in a summary, so I'm indicating what the elements, what the problems are with the property. This is not the end of the world, it's just a broken fence. Also, we have 120, we've got 120 pounds per square inch of water pressure, which should be no more than 8. The problem with that is that it blows apart toilet components, water heater components, and dishwasher components are only designed to handle 50 psi. So that's a problem I've indicated. It's fairly easy to fix. Here's this is the fan didn't work. Probably easy to fix or not replace. Locks, window locks that didn't work. Here's some rust associated with the water heater.
Garbage is below the school.
Garbage disposal, sorry. So that's it. That's everything that I found that was wrong with the place, not too much. The roof, the electric, plumbing, everything is in pretty good shape, some other stuff. So the fence board, so this is everything that I found that's wrong with the property. And the rest of the report contains detailed information that is in the standards. And that I'm required to, and I do report on. So,
May I keep going?
These reports that you get, there's a huge variety of reports. If you have any questions, you can call me, even if it's for a different inspector. If there's something about the property that has been described that you don't understand, you can text me and I'll respond to you. I don't care who did the inspection. It's pretty easy to do and it doesn't take much time. The biggest complaint that I hear about agents among inspectors is that the agents are selling property that they don't know anything about. They don't know anything about houses. They sell financing that they don't know anything about the components. You could go online and teach yourself about the various components and how they're installed through the internet. The benefit of that is that it communicates to your client when you ask questions to the inspector that you understand more than other agents, and particularly the person that you're representing. So I would recommend that you try to learn about the various components of the house. You will probably find that with very little amount of time, you'll know more than a lot of inspectors. There's a huge range of information in regard regards to the house. Roofs, how they're installed, foundations, different types of foundations, even water heaters, and every component of the house. There's also these handouts I've listed with the standards. There's a white paper that was written by Peter Walker, an inspector down south, who's a very caustic guy. Every other word out of his mouth is a foreign word, but he's one of the most competent inspectors in the state. He wrote a white paper on smoke alarms. There's two types of smoke alarms. There's an ionization and a photoelectric. The ionization, which is used by the retrofitters to that's installed in bedrooms and hallways, is a very ineffective smoke alarm. It's used because it's much cheaper than the photoelectric. For your homes, I would recommend going to Costco, buying the photoelectric smoke alarm. They cost more, but the problem with ionization is that smoldering carpet doesn't set them off. And if you have a fire in your house, it's probably because you've got some smoldering furniture, as opposed to a fireplace or a wood fire. So the photoelectric is a much better smoke alarm. You buy those at Costco, and you want monoxide detectors. A year and a half ago, in January, we had a very cold snap. People used furnaces that they hadn't used in some time. Last summer, I found two houses where the furnaces were in such poor condition and improperly vented that I came out of the attic and said, because the house was vacant, both these homes were staged. And I said, has anybody died in here recently? And they said, yes. How did you know? Because the furnace up in the attic is not vented properly. And if it were turned on, it would kill everybody in this house. The people buying it were very grateful to learn about that. Because if they do it, it would kill them too. And this was a couple of homes downtown. Both of them, they were older ladies in their 70s. And I talked to the neighbors in these houses. And they said, yeah, well, she just died of old age. I said, you know what? She didn't die of old age. She died of monoxide poisoning. And so you want monoxide detectors in the house. And you want to rule out problems associated with improper venting of appliances that a home inspector would check. So there's a lot of elements that are important in a home inspection. Most of the time, everything is fine, and most everything works out so that there's not a lot of issues associated with the property. In general, the buyers frequently are looking for any reason to get out of this deal. They're committed to buying the place. They've opened escrow. They're spending a lot of money. They're not sure they really want it. They're looking for a lot of times they're looking for an excuse to back up, and they'll say, well, you know, there's a cracked window in the kitchen. I don't want the property. And so there's a lot of nonsense associated with the real estate transaction. You guys probably see every day.
Oh, fear.
Well, there's basically two home inspector organizations. There's ASHI and there's CREA. Both of these organizations require that you have experience and that you have to submit. You have to have done 1,000 inspections. In order to obtain their certification, you have to give them the addresses of 50 homes you've inspected. They pick 5 out randomly, and you have to send the reports in. This is what physicians do to become certified in their medical specialty. They submit a series of patient names, and the board picks a few, and the physician has a computer with all the X-rays and everything. So this is how the certification works for home inspectors. So they take the 5 that you sent, which they pick randomly from 50, and they evaluate those inspection reports to determine if you are doing your inspections according to the standards, and then they speak with you on the phone. They're the only two organizations that do that. You can go online and get certification for home inspectors from a variety of organizations that say you are a certified home inspector. And you pay for that, and that's it. It's like getting a PhD from some internet educational system that uses your life experience for.
Yeah, I dropped it.
Oh, okay. I thought that was a frog jumping across the floor.
No. All right, it's my little, yes, it's my little stone to keep you from picking my face.
Okay, very good. So that's pretty much.
Can I say a couple things?
Sure.
One of the things I've found with clients that are buyers, there's a lot of fear involved in a purchase, and especially if it's their first purchase. And so one of the ways you help calm their fears is you give them information. I'm not an expert when it comes to inspections, but I have some basic sense because I've closed a lot of transactions. So what I do is I always encourage my clients to get a home inspection. And then what I ask them to do is feel free to call Jerry. He'll be willing to ask or answer any questions that you have about anything that you saw in the report. And a lot of agents have a fear that an inspector is there to kill their deals. And that's not where I come from. I'd rather have a transaction that is not a good transaction for my client stop early versus getting into it, closing the transaction, and having an angry client or threat of a lawsuit later. So Jerry is straightforward. He'll give them the information, and they can make their own decision about whether they want to move forward. I also find that the home inspection is a good tool for me to use to help my clients determine what they want to ask for, or if they want to ask for anything in their request for repairs. So what I do is I send them the report, and then I ask them to look at the summary, and then I ask them, well, are you okay with any of these things, or are there things you would like to have the seller take care of? In this particular one here, it wasn't a lot of work to be done on the property, and I asked them, well, which of those things were important to you? So they told me of the ones that were important to me. I didn't tell them what was important to them. I asked them what's important to you. Because some of them, everything is important because they don't know how to fix anything. There are other folks, oh, that's no big deal. My cousins will bring over the weekend, they'll fix this stuff for me. But I try to get them to give me their understanding of the report and ask me any questions. And if I don't have the answer, I'm going to send them right back to the inspector for them to get an ongoing dialogue with the inspector about the condition of the property. And then we go ahead and we prepare the request for repairs. And that's how I proceed. So that's what I would urge you to do, is don't be fearful that the inspector is going to kill your transaction. Really, you much rather have anything that's the issue revealed early on so that you can put in the request for repairs. And that way, your seller can respond back and forth to you as to whether they want to do it or not do it. If they're unwilling to do it, maybe they'll offer credit to your client for the work because maybe they don't have the expertise or they don't have the willingness to do anything, but they're willing to credit dollars back to your client. So I want to encourage you guys to, choose a good inspector, make sure they have good credentials, make sure they have some experience in doing this kind of work, and make sure they're willing to talk to your clients. Because ultimately, you're not an inspector. You don't want to be speaking from the point of, I know this, I know that, because if you ever have to go to court, and I've gone to court as an expert witness, so I can tell you how it all works. The judges will be asking, or actually not the judge, but the plaintiff attorney will be asking you questions. And if you start answering the questions as if you're an expert in something that you're not, they're going to lead you down a path. And so, Mr. Yasin, you've been doing this for, yeah, I've been doing this for a long time. Oh, how many properties have you sold? Oh, I've sold lots of properties. Oh, you pretty comfortable with this? Oh, yeah, I've seen lots of them. And then they're gonna lull you into a sense of comfort where you think, oh, they're on your side. And then quick, it's gonna turn like a snake. They're gonna say, let me ask you, do you have a general contractor C license? No. Oh, are you a certified inspector? No. Well, then how did you get this expertise? And then you're dead. You are dead meat. So don't act like you know something that you don't know. Go back to the experts. If his report, for example, is saying, well, I think it requires further investigation, then you tell your client, well, he's not a roofer, you know, he's not a mold inspector, he's just a home inspector, and if it requires further investigative work, you may want to recommend to your clients in writing that you get somebody who is an expert in that area. And don't just do it verbally, because verbally people they have what is called selective memory. You know, when things don't go right, the attorney will be coaching them what to say, and you will be laid out. They'll hang you out to dry. They really will. So that's why Jerry says make friends with your buyers, so they don't want to nail you when something falls apart. And good attorneys will really, they're looking for cases all the time. So I just want to encourage you guys, you know, get a good inspector, do your homework on the inspector, make sure that they have the insurances, the bonding that they need, make sure they're certified, or they're licensed if they're a contractor, make sure they have all those kinds of credentials. And then also look at some of the samples of the reports they've done in the past before you send your client to that inspector. Oh, let me look at some of your reports. So you can see how thorough that report is, and then you can make a decision. Jerry's not the only good inspector out there, but he's excellent. You know, I've used him a lot. I have a lot of choices. But, you know, so I just encourage all you guys to do your own homework. Don't take it on responsibility of yourself. Oh, yeah, that leak was from a roof. Maybe. Maybe it was the air conditioning. Maybe it was something else. But you start making comments about, oh, that's mold. Maybe. Maybe it's not. You don't make comments like that because you're not an expert in those areas. Okay? So, Jerry, I didn't mean to take over your presentation, but I just want you guys to realize that there's a great value in having a physical inspection on any property that you are representing a client on, and especially if your clients are first-time buyers, they're going to be scared to death. Okay?
One last comment. Every year, they're talking about an El Nino. I think we had one in '95. What happens is that we get rain continuous for several weeks at a time. The Pacific Northwest storms move south, and in the event of an El Nino, when we get that kind of rain, everything floods. You're going to have water in the foundation crawl space areas. Water's going to rise out. Almost no homes have good gradient drainage. And even if they do, they weren't designed to handle an El Nino. Roofs, building envelopes, windows and doors in Southern California are not designed to handle El Nino type weather events. When it comes, and it may come this fall, every property you sold is going to have some water intrusion somewhere. And these standards that require the examination of the roof and the flashings and the windows and the doors where you're going to have water coming in are absolutely critical, because you're going to be able to say, well, we had an inspection and we looked at these various elements where potential for water to come in and exist, and they appeared at that time to be in satisfactory condition. And this event was basically unpredictable. There's always going to be problems associated with water intrusion during an El Nino. I fear it dramatically, because I always get calls saying, I got water coming into my house and you didn't tell me that. So that's my fear of El Ninos. There's always problems associated with water intrusion. Anyway, thank you very much for.
Thank you, Jerry. We appreciate you. And Jerry also brought some refreshments. My wife brought some things in there, but Jerry brought the bagels and some other good eateries. How was it, Rodney?
Great. Can I ask a question of Mr. Arla?
Sure.
Your fee schedules. I mean,
Yeah,
how much for a
condos,
one-bedroom condo and how much
Yeah,
for a
condos-
5,000 square foot house?
condos about 275 to 300 a house, houses start at 400, more for a pool. The bigger the house, the more it is. Depending on the area, if we're in Palisades, Beverly Hills, these people have a greater expectation. So I charge more. It's not always based on the size and the location of square footage. If I perceive that somebody has a lot of money, quite honestly, I'm gonna try to get more.
I just want to know
Okay.
the variation schedule. Second question is, example of water pressure. Are you aware of, and I ask this question, are you, because you're the person, are you aware of areas that have street water pressure
Yeah,
that
Northridge,
vary?
Northridge has a
that
pumping
varies
station.
by as much as, so the day you check it, it might be 120, but if you go the next day, it might be 90. So I mean, when you know about
Yeah.
these things, I'm assuming you would include them in a report. You know, I sold my home in Porter Ranch, the owner knew that it had the issue, he disclosed it up front at the very beginning of the transaction. Inspection was done, home inspector says, it's 120, the buyer's coming back, we got a problem, and the seller says, I disclosed that to you already.
Well,
So it wasn't a problem, but
it doesn't.
again, that,
Let him finish. You're asking me a
Yeah,
question.
what you disclose may not matter. If somebody's pissed off, and there's damage done, if a pipe bursts, then someone will come in and say the water pressure was excessive. And even though your client or the owner may have disclosed it, it doesn't matter. If someone sues somebody, everybody gets cross complaints, so you're in it. You're in it. If I make a mistake on an inspection and settle up with my client and have him sign a release that he cannot come back and sue me, someone else can file an action. Or the person who's released me can sue someone else, and that person can cross-complain me. I'm back in there regardless of. So the best way to do it is like I've done here on the projection. Is I've taken a photograph of the pressure gauge. At that day, at that time, this is what it was. What it's going to be tomorrow or the day before, I don't know. That's what it was then. Nairi?
Just a quick question, what is the statute of limitation for the lawsuit regarding the inspection?
What is the what?
Statute of limitation.
4 years.
4 years?
4 years. So after 4 years, I'm off the hook.
That's a long time though.
Yeah, it's a long time.
4
So
years.
after you retire, when a home inspector retires, he has to maintain he needs to maintain an E&O policy for 4 years at $3,000 a year. E&O policies for home inspectors range from $2,000 to $3,000 a year. They're expensive. And after 1 or 2 lawsuits, they will not provide you with insurance. You'll be canceled.
So basically, the buyer has up to 4 years to sue you for your,
Yes.
wow.
Yes.
Anybody else, any other questions or comments? Robert, thanks for hanging in here, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Rodney, are we gonna do any,
Yeah, I was thinking we were, yes,